Hey YouTube, Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Prism Bermuda Triangle Cardfight Vanguard standard deck profile for post-clan selection Volume 2. We were given a few new cards for the Prism Bermuda Triangles in the latest clan selection in the form of legendary Prism duo Nectaria. This was originally a Stride during Stride format and was still kept as a grade 4 for the standard format. A very, very strong grade 4 at that. I'm actually surprised that we were given a grade 4 to fully support Vert and the other Prisms that we received in one of the latest Bermuda Triangle booster packs. Might be one of the final Bermuda Triangle packs we have for a while, because with Overdress, I think they might be hinting that Bermuda Triangle will be its own thing for that format. We'll just have to wait and see in the future what support we'll be getting for that clan. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the actual Prism units, like I said, we have a new grade 4 in the deck in the form of legendary Prism duo Nectaria. From the hand, you bind this card, search your deck for up to one normal unit, and ride it. Bind it, basically not ride it, and shuffle your deck. This ability may not be used by a card with the same name once a turn. So basically, the ability may only be used by one unit with the same name, but with it, you can basically power the main go-to playstyle of the Prism deck in standard format, which focuses on binding a bunch of different Prism units. So that setup is especially useful, just as an additional card to help set up that combo. And on Vanguard or Rear, during your turn, if you have a card with the same card name as this unit in your bind zone, this unit gets plus 10,000 power, and if this unit is on your Vanguard, it gets a critical +1 and drive +1. So it's basically, reliving the Stride format with this card, having that additional power, but also getting the triple drive and the additional critical, and just being able to bind this card to search for a normal unit and bind it just adds to the power that this card provides as well. Being able to set up the bind to then, call this card back out onto the field using our other Prism units, which we'll get to in just a second, with one of those units being our main go-to grade 3, which is Prism Image Vert. With this card on Vanguard, once per turn, Soul Blast 1 and bind a card with Prism and its card name from your rear or drop zone. If you bound a card, this unit gets drive +1 until end of turn. So with Nectaria in standard format, we were given another Prism unit. That was the biggest weakness of the deck at the time when I went over the last update, just not having that many Prism units to use. But 4 additional ones is a big plus for sure to the original 3 that we had. So having that card as the option, plus along with its original bind power, works very, very well for the second ability of Prism Image Vert, which basically is, on Vanguard, when it attacks, counter +1, return all of your front row rear guards to your hand and call up to one card with Prism and its card name from your bind zone to rear. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you may call a total of 2 cards with Prism and its different names instead of 1. So you don't even need to use any other Prism skills aside from Nectaria to make full use of Vert. If you don't ride into Nectaria, you can just focus on the Vert play to call out Nectaria and, let's say, one additional Prism unit onto the field. You just have to bind Nectaria with her own skill to bind another one, and that's the setup needed right then and there for Prism Image Vert on the field. Very, very scary to be able to get this skill off that much easier, just like first turn, and all you need is that setup with a grade 3 and 4 in hand, which can easily be done just with some of the other support we're running in the deck. But for the grade 2s, we're only running the 4 Vert. I feel that's all you need for the grade 3 lineup, since the other spot is being taken up by the additional grade 4 we have to run in the deck now. But for the grade 2s, I run 4 Prism Image Rosa. Like I said, we're very limited with the numbers of Prisms that we have for the deck, so we're maxing out all the numbers for the different ones we do have. With Rosa, on Vanguard or Rear, when placed, counter +1, look at 7 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 2 cards with Prism and their card name from among them, put 1 into your hand, and bind 1 card and shuffle your deck. So you have the search option for much more now. For the fact that Nectaria has Prism in its name as well is a big plus there. So you have that search option, but you could potentially put this card in the bind zone also, which she has 14,000 power. So being able to call this off of Vert is that much scarier as well, just as a good power unit on its own, being able to hit a good number of cards your opponent may have on the field, including their own grade 4 units if they ride into them. For the additional support for the grade 2s, like I said, we don't have any other Prism cards for the grade 2 lineup, but we're running 4 top Idle Aqua. When placed, return up to one other normal unit on your rear of your hand. If you returned a card, draw a card, discard a card from your hand, and this ability may only be used by a card of the same name once a turn. So if you call Nectaria off of your Prism Image Vert, you can then call top Idle Aqua to return this card to your hand, giving you the option to then ride with Nectaria next turn. So very, very useful to run top Idle Aqua. Not so much for the Prism buildup, but just for the consistency to then add this card back to your hand after using plenty of your different bind skills in the deck. And lastly, to finish off the grade 2s, I just run the 3 Choco Love Heart Lissolette. This card can be called as a grade 1 from the hand, and on Vanguard or rear, when placed, you look at the top card of your deck and call up to 1 to rear, or put it into your soul. This ability may only be used by a card with the same name once a turn. So with that superior call, you have plenty of options with all the different cards. Some cards have to be placed basically for the skill to be used. So very, very useful for all of these different cards. But also just for the fact that Nectaria works on rear guard means that if you have a card with the same card name as this unit in your bind zone, having that additional plus just works because then you can easily set up the bind power with this card and still get the plus 10,000 power on rear guard. Granted, it has an additional plus on Vanguard Circle, but with different cards like Lissolette, you have all these options available to you on rear as well. And lastly, for the grade 2s, I run 2 Noir Fixer Hilda. On rear, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets boost. So you're not limited to it just being grade 3. It can be a grade 4. Giving you the boost power can work if you set up this grade 2 and your grade 4 on rear, hitting for some pretty big numbers alone with just these cards set up on the field like this. And on rear once per turn, when your grade 3 or greater unit is placed during your battle phase, if this unit is in the back row, you may stand this unit. So if you already boost with Nectaria, but remember, Vert calls back units from your front row to the hand, you can then call out Nectaria and then restand your Hilda in the back row to then additionally support that boost once again, providing an additional power boost for your fact that you're grade 3 or greater, giving it boost already, and then bouncing those units back to your hand, restanding, and then calling out new units with the bind skill of Prism Image Vert. I only run the 2 though. Once you have them set up in the back row, that's really all you need for that consistent, restanding power and boost providing. Now moving on to the grade 1s, I run 4 Prism Image Clear. With this card on Vanguard, when placed, look at 7 cards from the top of your deck and reveal up to 1 grade 2 or greater card with Prism Man's card name from among them, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So you can even just search out Nectaria with this card and set up your bind that easily with these 2 cards alone, and then just get ready for the Prism Image Vert ride all together. And on rear, when placed from the bind zone, bind a card with Prism Man's card name from your drop zone to draw a card, and this unit gets plus 10,000 power. Once again, more targets. That's all we're talking about in this video, for the fact that Nectaria provides that 1 additional target for the Prism deck. And that consistency for draw power makes Clear more consistent, since you have more cards to basically target with this card's ability. For one of the other new grade 1s that I run in the deck, it's not a Prism, but still very, very useful, and that is 4 of the Ingenious Murnau. On Vanguard or rear, when placed, reveal a normal unit from your hand and put it on the bottom of your deck if you do draw 1 card. So if you have additional grade 3s or 4s that you don't need in your hand, but still need some other units, this card's great for that recycle power. And on rear once per turn, when your grade 3 or greater unit is placed during your battle phase, if this unit is in the back row, you may have one of your Vanguards get plus 10,000 power until end of turn. So that pressure is definitely useful, because then you can focus the sole trigger units you get in the deck on your rear guards, while Vert is still getting power plus thanks to this new grade 1. The consistency for the recycle and better draws is great, but being able to rely on this card for that plus 10,000 power is another reason why I definitely do like it in the deck. For more of the grade 3 search power, I run the 4 Mermaid Idol Sedna. It's just the grade 3 searcher for the deck, being able to go for the grade 3 because Vert is very, very important for our grade 3 ride target. And Sedna doesn't search grade 3 or higher. It only searches grade 3. So you have that search. So just running the 4 only means we just have better options to open up that card, since we have 4 of this card to consistently get it into our hand for us to use. And that is it for the grade 1s. Now moving on to the grade 0s. For the starters, still sticking with the Bermuda Triangle Cadet Shizuku. I just find it the most fitting. We don't have any Prism starters, but still the other ones seem basically correlated with the other decks, including Melody and Coral, Riviere, you name it. Plenty of different grade 0 starters, but I feel Shizuku definitely has a home in the Prism deck. And for the trigger lineup, I'm running the 8 critical still. So the 8 Docking Shooter Peltia and the 4 Lover Hope Rena. Great trigger units just for the pressure, especially. And I decided still to keep the draw lineup, because you definitely need just a little more hand consistency to open up some of the grade 3 and 4 units we run. So that's why I still prefer using Glittery Baby Lene in the deck compared to the critical Sentinel. And then lastly, still using the newest Heal. Once again, just for the aesthetics, I felt it to be most fitting for the Prism deck altogether. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, I was definitely surprised that we would be given a grade 4 unit for the Prism deck, but it definitely fits very, very well and just helps with that consistency. It felt like Prisms needed just one more push to be good in standard format with the support they had, and Nectaria definitely provided that role in the power that it not only works on the Vanguard Circle, but also as a bind unit to basically support the initial play style that was the Prism Image Vert deck altogether. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.